Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Easter live stream coming to you direct from the studios of PVR here near to Mansfield in Nottinghamshire, on the Derbyshire Nottinghamshire border. And hello, welcome to this live stream where we are going to be carrying on what we normally do on the Andy Shed Live show on a Sunday night. We're going to be carrying that on a little bit more. But whereas I am normally sat in my bunker at home on a Sunday night, I'm here at PVR. Now, what PVR is um, it's a unit, a small business unit in a big old industrial mill that's been converted into little business units at a place called Plesley Vale. And what we're doing is we are setting up an old school radio station that will broadcast across the internet called PVR, which stands for Plesley Vale Radio. And we're using a blend of modern technology, but also classic old technology as well. So, for instance, we've got analog mixers instead of the more modern digital mixers. We've got a mainly analog throughput of sound. The only place where we go digital is running off of computers and things. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. If you've been watching our series on how to build a radio station, you'll know a little bit about it already and how it works. And you'll have seen the gradual build from this being an empty room to being what it is now. Now, along the way, because we also restore vintage stuff and all kinds of vintage items, mainly telephones that you see on YouTube, but we do other things as well. This room has not just filled up with radio studio stuff, it's filled up with other stuff as well, including a couple of old Valve radios, a player piano, a cobbler sewing machine, lots of classic broadcast videotape machines, a format called U-matic, which was the first cassette-based video format that came out in, I think it was 1968 or 69 from Sony. We've got a load of machines that play those tapes. So we've got all sorts here, but I'm actually sat at the moment at the desk that controls the radio station. So if I switch this camera around, you will be able to see what I'm seeing. So there is a mixer there, and when we go up, you can see the monitors. This left monitor isn't working at the moment. We've got to get that one working yet, but that's going to have some of the playout software on it, similar but not the same as what's on this side. This is our playout software. It's a thing called Rivendell, and it's a piece of free software that runs on Linux, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's rock solid. I think I've known it crash once in the whole history of time, and I've used Rivendell at various stations for years and years and years. And it's just doing a test play out at the moment. So that is Rivendell, and then from there it goes over there to that laptop at the minute, goes via all this equipment in this rack here, particularly the thing at the top that you can see the lights flashing on, this thing here. This is a compressor limiter, so theoretically it makes all the audio sound much better than it would naturally. It brings the quiet bits up and makes them a bit louder, and it holds the loud bits down and makes them a bit quieter. So it's a bit more even. So if you're listening in your car or something like that to the radio station, you don't have to keep twiddling with the volume. And then when it's gone through all that, it goes to this computer up here, which is the digital bit of the chain. And when it goes to that computer, it goes into a program called Broadcast using this tool, otherwise known as BUT. And that's what sends it out to our hosts, our remote hosting people who host the radio stream. So you'll be wondering what is actually playing out at the minute. Well, what we're doing here is nothing to do with what's actually going out on PVR at the minute, because at the minute the station is actually running what we would call the emergency stream. If we ever lose contact with our remote hosting server, then it plays out stuff on the remote from the remote host that's actually hosted at the remote hosting server. So there's a number of music tracks at the remote server, and if we lose contact here with the remote server because the internet connection goes down, then it just plays the music from there. And that's what it's doing at the minute. Although we are testing Rivendell here, it's not actually connected up. You'll see the BUT thing there says idle on it, because it's not connected. So actually on PVR at the moment, it's just playing music from the remote host. If you want to try it, if you want to go to it and try it, you need to go to pvr.colepress.net/listen. That's pvr.colepress.net/listen. And you'll be able to hear what is actually going out on the stream. We've got one or two people with us already today. If you want to join us in the chat, please feel free to, particularly if you've got any questions about setting up radio stations and things, or making radio shows, or if you're interested in making a syndicated radio show or something like that, and you've got any questions about equipment and that, get in the chat and ask away, and we will do our best to answer them. I see we've got one or two of our usual suspects from the Sunday night live stream. I see Christopher 2000's here. One or two of the others as well. Can I actually see? No, I can't actually see who's here. But yeah, hi Christopher. So yeah, one or two people are watching this today, and yeah, so we'll be here for a little while, provided my batteries hold out, because I'm actually doing this over on a smartphone and on batteries. Wesley's with us. Afternoon, Wesley. I've got my cup of coffee today. I have my glass of water on a Sunday night, but on a Monday morning or Monday afternoon, I feel I need coffee. So if you come and do a show at PVR, we are looking for volunteers to actually come in and make shows for us. If you do shows, you do get free tea and coffee. So that's the thing we use to tempt people in to come and do it. Now, for those who were watching last night, when we did our normal Sunday evening show last night with the telephone restoration, you remember I was having problems with a sticky line cord on a phone. Well, I've tried all sorts. So you may remember that I left it last night sort of soaking in sort of hot soapy water. Well, I brought it with me here so you can see what it did. Just get it. Here it is. It's just as sticky as it was before I soaked it in hot soapy water. In fact, in some ways, it may be more sticky. And I don't know if you can see all the hair and that stuck to it. And it's so sticky, it's unbelievable. I have had some success, though, this morning, when I've been waiting to go on air with this end of it, which is better, shall we say. It's not as sticky. And what I actually did was what someone suggested on the stream yesterday, isopropyl alcohol. It's the only thing that seems to shift the stickiness. And even that does not shift it easily, but it does do something. It does shift it to some degree. So that's what we've used to shift the stickiness on this line cord. But it is a massively long cord. It is really, really, really long. If I show you it down here, it's humongous. So I've got to clean all that. So that's what I've been doing. And here's a couple of the other phones that came out of that box last night for those who are interested in telephones. This is a particularly unusual one in that it's a wall phone. If we turn it over, you'll see it has got a number on it. It says it's a 711L. Manufacturer code looks like DFM. Made in 1968. And it's good in that it's got the T-bracket to mount it on the wall with it. Christopher says he's got a similar one to this. But the question is, if Christopher's, is it a 711 or 741 that you've got, Christopher? Because externally, they look the same. The way to tell the difference is look inside them at the circuit board inside and see if you've got a separate little card that fits in, and if you have, it's a 711. If you've not got a separate little card, if it's all on one circuit board, it's a 741. Christopher says it's a GEC clone of a 711 that he's got. I'm sorry, by the way, the chat is not on screen today. Actually on the video. It's because we're using a bit of different software to actually stream this. We're using YouTube's own software instead of the stuff that we normally use, which is OBS. So there is that phone, which does need some work doing on it. It's going very dark here. It looks like it's going to rain any minute. It's going incredibly dark outside the window there. That is the view from the window here. We haven't got much of a view because we've got the corner of the building, you see, that sticks out. It's a funny shaped building, and that is actually the same building that we're in here, but that's the far corner of it stuck out. So yeah, it is going a bit dark, but we've got all sorts in here, all sorts of stuff. It's not just telephones anymore. If I can turn the camera around again, I can. Right. All right, I'll try and not get myself tied up in the sticky line cord, and I'll get up and go for a little walk around. We have here, now, talking of things that are not radio related that have managed to get into this building for want of somewhere to put them while we're getting set up. Here's a good example. Telephone handsets, 700 series handsets. These bags are all full of them. Yeah, all 700 series handsets. And most of them have been painted. And they are in like grey primer. Most of these. Now I know that one looks green actually, doesn't it, for some reason on the video there. I assure you it's not. Oh, perhaps it is. Perhaps it is a green one that we can unpaint and make it green again. But these were painted by the guy at Britphone. He had a massive job lot of telephones, and he was going to paint them all up and refinish them, which is a legitimate thing in America. In America, lots of American phones were painted by like Western Electric and that, but it never happened in the UK. But he thought he would paint some. And then I think he realised then it was going to be a bit too much like hard work to keep doing them. So he ended up selling them. And he sold me all this lot. I won them on eBay. He put them all on eBay with all those cases I've got. If you've seen Seeing where I'd got all the cases. These are the handsets to those cases, and there's just one bag full that he didn't paint, but all seem to be grey ones. So if you know anybody who needs any grey 700 series handsets, let me know. I'm going to put a light on because it's going very, very dark in here. I think we're going to have an almighty thunderstorm or something in a minute, which is about right for a bank holiday Monday, isn't it? Because I can hardly see where I'm going. It actually looks lighter on the camera than it really is. So let's put some lights on. Oh, there we go. You can see what's going on now. So the big box of telephones that was in the back of my van on the show last night is now here. I've dragged it in here this morning, and here it is. So they all need going through, and also the pianola rolls, because we've got all these pianola rolls, because we've also got a pianola, which is just sitting there at the moment. This has been restored by me. It was kind of working when I got it, but not working very well. And I've had it all in bits, and the patrons will have seen some of the photos of it in bits. And it is now functional, shall we say. It does actually work now as a pianola. I'll try and show you a little bit more of it if I can just stand the old camera up. I'll move a box of rolls. I spend all my time at the minute moving boxes of pianola rolls. Somebody out there shouting me. Just bear with me just 1 minute. No, don't think they are. Right. So, is that thunder in here outside? Well, I do hope not. So yeah, here is the pianola. And this is where your rolls of music go in here. And the paper rolls that run across a thing here called tracker bar. And the tracker bar sucks inwards. So it's sucking in all the time. It's got 88 little holes in this, that when the holes in this correspond with a hole in the paper roll, it can then suck air through that hole into some bellows and play that particular note. So what can we play? We'll have a go at something. Let's see. Oh, Good Night, Sweetheart. Got no idea if we'll end up with a YouTube copyright strike for this or not, but we'll give it a go. Plenty of other people seem to put pianola things on YouTube, so we'll have a go. So that clips in there like that, and then you get the end of the paper roll here. There's another roller at the bottom that clips onto, like so. And then there's a kind of speed thing that you set. And you set that there. And then you've got your piano here. If you open the front here, you've got all kinds of other little things as well. And you set it to play on there. You can't see that very well, can you, at the minute? But I'll show you in a minute anyway. And now we've set it to play. I should be able to pump the pedals and it should play a tune. So let's give it a go. There you have it. That's it. Now, the drawback with the pianola is because it's on a paper roll, when you finish playing it, you have to wind it back. So, I will show you what we do to wind it back. So, here we are, you see. We've got to the end of the roll there. And so we open this front panel that's got all these controls in it that do all kinds of different things. These ones basically do similar to what your normal piano pedals do, for like sustain and softness and stuff like that. These ones over here are the unusual ones. This one controls the speed. If I move this left to right, you'll see up here it moves this thing here, and you can see there's a scale down there, and it moves a little pointer on that scale and a pointer that points to the roll, because sometimes there is a speed marker on the roll, like a wavy line on the roll, which you have to follow with this pointer if you need to change speed part way through. But this said just set it at about 80, which it is there, you see. It's set at about 80 there. There you go, 80. So that's that one. So that's set in the right place. And then there's this one here, which is rewind, silent, and play. And it's in play at the minute because we've just played it, obviously. So if I now set it to rewind, like that, and then I start pumping the pedals again, it starts to rewind it all back onto the top roll. And there you go, it's all on the top roll, and then you just push it towards the left take this end out, take that end out, and there's your roll. And you can put that to one side, ready to play your next one. So that's how it works. And these are all the little holes in the tracker bar. These are what make the music. It actually does it by suction, not by blowing air, but by sucking air. And these are the little holes. Now, these little holes, because it's sucking in all the time, they suck dirt in sometimes. And you do get like a pump thing, like a syringe, like, you know, the big syringes like you have for icing cakes, perhaps. You get one of those, a specially designed one of those, and it can suck out the dirt out of those little holes. And then this bottom one, there's a hook on this bottom one, as you see in the middle there, and that is what the roll hooks onto. There's a little metal tab on the end of the roll that hooks onto that, and that is what pulls it through. So there you have it. That is the pianola. We've had all the keyboard out of this and done all sorts of things with it to get it playing reasonably reliably. It's not quite right, but it's not something you notice, you know, just to sit and see it. You know, you have to know there's something wrong to know there's something wrong, if you know what I mean. So that is the Steck pianola, which is rather good. Yeah, we do quite like it. Wesley says it's been raining up here and looks like it's going to do it again. Yes, Wesley. It's I think I don't know. It's trying to brighten up a little bit outside, but I'm not sure it's managing it. There's the view along through to the radio station bit of the thing, and then there's all the stuff that really shouldn't be here that is here at the minute. That is the big stack of these U-matic video machines. These were broadcast format video U-matic, sort of popular in the 70s and into the 80s, and we've still got all these machines. The ones stacked up there, those ones that you can see, are actually a more modern version, but the one that stood on its end here, this is one of the first ones from the very early 1970s, maybe even late 1960s, and it's the same as the one that's on the top of the stack there, or very similar to the one that's on the top of the stack there. So as you can see, we've got an awful lot of stuff, a lot of which shouldn't be here, and we've got to make room for another pianola that's coming, because I bought some rolls off somebody, and it turns out that they come with a free pianola. So yeah, interesting. So yeah, so that is what we've got here so far. Oh, crikey, that makes me look fat, doesn't it, that angle? But yeah, so that is the Steck pianola that everybody seems to love, and you can buy them for next to no money. And the reason you can buy them for next to no money, when I say next to no money, I mean less than £100 will buy you one of these generally. The problem is transporting them. They are unbelievably heavy. It's by far and away, I think, the heaviest thing that I've tried to move that's not a vehicle. It's unbelievably, absolutely, unbelievably heavy. Unbelievably heavy to try and shift. And we had an abortive attempt to move it, me and my friend Alan, And in the end, we did have to get a professional piano mover in to do it, and they struggled. The tail lift on their van struggled with it because it's the weight of a normal piano, and normal pianos are heavy enough because they've got a big cast iron frame in them. But then there's all the stuff that makes it into a pianola rather than just an ordinary piano that are kind of bolted on inside as well. And that's why it's so deep front to back. It's way deeper than a normal piano would be, because from about here to here is the pianola mechanism that makes it a pianola rather than just an ordinary piano. So that is the story of the pianola. And you may remember, if you're watching last night, and I was talking about funny coloured phones with push buttons on. Here's one, and you can see it's blue, all except for the case, which is grey. So I'm wondering if this should also be another blue 782 or whatever number they are. And the guy changed the case. I think it probably should be, but this is actually the phone that we're using here at the radio station now. It's actually live, this phone. It's got a dial tone and everything. So cool. So what else have we got to show you? Yeah, just load. Oh, we've got this wonderful old sewing machine, this leather patcher. This is the thing called a Singer patcher. This sewing machine, and used by cobblers a lot because it has some unique features into how it works, especially designed so it can get down into the toes of shoes, to sew in the toes of shoes and things like that. And it is on a treadle base, as you can see. We like things that you work with your feet here. Have you noticed? I've got a handle on it there as well, but there it goes. It's got this wonderful thing that moves about on the top of it as well. So that's the Singer patcher. I'm waiting for a bit of equipment to thread it, because to thread this machine you have to have a specially shaped wire that you put your cotton on the end of it and then push it down a hole in the top here, this little hole here, and the wire you have to push down there, and your cotton goes right through the head of the thing and comes out at the top of the needle here. Then you thread the needle normally, and I'm just waiting for that specially shaped bit of wire to arrive, so that we can actually thread it up properly and use it. So that's the patcher. They're the radio machines, and then we've got many more rolls of music for the pianola, including that box there that says it's sharing the joys of good wine, but I assure you it's not wine, it's pianola rolls inside it, you see, including what look like some very big ones. Full-scape stencils for use on Gestetner duplicators. Oh, that's interesting. You know why that's interesting? That's interesting because down here, underneath that cover, I'm not going to get it out now because it's heavy, but underneath that cover down there is a Gestetner duplicator. so yeah. So you see, we have literally got all sorts of things here. Absolutely all sorts of stuff. And as I say, this is the main bit here. This is the radio station. If you look at it from this angle, you get an idea of how complex it is. Just look at all the wires and cables and things that are going absolutely everywhere, and there's so many of them. I mean, just into this rack alone here, at all these. miles and miles and miles of cabling, and this is a relatively simple analog studio. You can imagine how much cabling there would be on something like a complex BBC studio. So yeah, rather a lot of it, I would say, rather a lot of it. And now the sun's coming out. I'll let you have a little look through the window. There is my view, showing you some more of the mill buildings here. This mill kind of dates from late 1800s, early 1900s. This building, I think was built in 1930. This is Mill 3. So this was built sometime in the 30s, I think. It looks much older than it is, this building, but was built in the 30s. Faced with stone, but on the bits where nobody can see it, like this little bit that sticks out here, you see. Can you see it's brickwork? But on the bits you might have a chance of seeing from a distance away, it's stone. But the bits that nobody can see because they face the building, it's brick. But again, interesting because there's like bricked up windows and stuff in it, and loads of history to this building. But there's the view from the window, and that's the way in. You have to walk up there when you're coming in. So I can see people approaching from here. Right, that is it, basically. If anybody's got any questions or anything, now is the time. Wesley says, what markings are there on that phone, Andy? The one that I've got plugged in, you mean, Wesley? Right, let's have a little look, because I don't know just off the top of my head. We'll have a look for you and see, shall we? So here it is. There you go. It's a 782 MP and Gen 82 by GEC. So I have a feeling, because that's got the GEC logo on it, I've got a feeling that is probably one that never went to the GPO, which would add weight to the thought that it's a Concorde Blue one originally. It's had the case changed, because everything on it is Concorde Blue, you know, the handset and the cable and this surround, and it's just a grey case that's been put on it. So I'm now thinking this should be a Concorde Blue phone, made by GEC and supplied to one of the private companies. Does it say telephone rentals or anything on the back of it? No, it doesn't. You see, there's nothing written on the back of there, so. But I bet it was not a GPO phone. That I bet it was. I bet it was actually a private phone. That one. So there you go. That's what's written on it anyway. Right, where are we now? And Christopher says, and your green N1900 you showed yesterday is like my N1970B phone that I used on CNET. Yeah, I don't know where that one's gone, Christopher. Oh, I think it's still in the box. That one. Let's have a look. Yes, it's there. Look in the box, because they just all got chucked back in the box last night. So I do need to get those sorted out, which will be a job for this afternoon when we come off here. So that is about it for today. It was just going to be a quick stream, this, just to kind of show you what's going on, and that PVR is indeed coming together. And stuff is happening and going out on it, and as you can see, it's all coming nicely together now. The latest thing that's coming is that rack mount unit there, to put all this rack mount equipment in. So that's tidied all that up. There is going to be a shelf going under those monitors, so that these two little boxes here, which are actually a telephone hybrid, to get a telephone signal into the mixer. These little boxes then will sit on the shelf. So it is all gradually coming together. So that is about the size of it. That is how it's looking at the moment. There are going to be some videos coming up on Rivendell itself, the Playout software, and how to use that. Because although there are some videos about it on YouTube, there's not any really in-depth ones. So I'm going to try and do some in-depth ones about how to do certain things on it. But as you can see, it is coming together nicely. We are pretty much ready to go on air now. But what is really holding us up now is finding enough people, enough volunteers and that who want to do shows, because that is holding us back quite a lot now. We need to find more people, because when we go to air, we're going to be on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you do, let's say a 3-hour show a week, out of a week, 3 hours is not that much. And when you think you've got to fill every day of every week, you then realize that it's a big ask. So we do need quite a lot of people. So, yeah. There's quite a lot on. Christopher says, I'm getting old Cold War civil defence Geiger counter. Crikey, are you thinking you might be radioactive, Christopher? Are you thinking there may be some radioactivity in your part of Melbourne? Bloody hope not. Yeah. Hang on, I'm a bit high there. Yeah, a Geiger counter. That's something that I've not thought of. Does it work? How do they work? How do you test them? I wonder if you can test it with a watch or something, with a fluorescent dial, because the fluorescent stuff on old watches and clocks is famously radioactive, isn't it? Because the girls that used to paint it used to lick the paintbrush and paint the dials, and then they've all kind of died of like radioactive poisoning and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, it'll be an interesting thing, that. Peter Blackburn is with us. He says, Happy Easter, everyone. He says, I think I have some CNET numbers to connect my PABX, my PBX, oh, it means PABX thing up with. I think I have some CNET numbers, he says. You think you have some CNET numbers? Right. Whose CNET sort of exchange are they on, Peter? Are they even on mine? Did I send you some? I can't remember. Wesley says, has there been any broadcast trials, Andy? Well, yes, there's one going on now, Wesley. If you go to pvr.coldpress.net/listen, that's pvr.coldpress.net/listen, you should be able to hear music going out right now. And it'll be familiar music, because for the time being, just for the trials, it's copyright-free music. So it's the same stuff that we played before the live streams on a Sunday night. But you should hear that going out now if you go to the PVR website. What we can probably do is put this online just so you can hear it. Being as I'm sat in front of a microphone. So what we actually do to do that is, first of all, we have to wake up this computer up here that's gone to sleep. So I've got to wake that one up and put a password into that. So I'll just move you a minute. Right, so there we are now. That says idle, you see. But if I now press, all right, I'll put the music down. If I now press that on it, it says connect to server. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that or not. If I click that, connecting, and it's now streaming to the server. So if I now open a microphone on here, I'll press on there, put that up. In fact, I only need to put it up halfway because it's a microphone. And you will see now that as I speak, that meter is moving in time now to me speaking. So if I'm quiet, that meter will go down. Like that. Because we are now broadcasting this audio, although it won't be in sync with YouTube, this audio is now broadcasting out over PVR. So if you now go to pvr.colepress.net/listen, you'll be able to hear my voice, although it probably won't be in sync with YouTube. One will be ahead of the other. But you can certainly try it now, and it will be on there. And what I can do is perhaps ask it to play some ads or something, and then you'll be able to have a listen to them, because it's doing like Britney Spears or something at the minute. But if I go in here, and we'll go ahead a little bit and go on there, make next on that brake bumper. Right, if I play the brake bumper after Britney, then you'll see. So I'll put this up. Right, and now we'll play that brake bumper. There we go, and I'll take myself out of it.
Exercise. It doesn't have to mean lycra or a fancy.
And that is now what is playing out on PVR. It's now playing out these public service announcements.
Is a great way to get more active, whether that's walking to the shops or getting off the bus to stop early. Picking up the pace and getting your heart.
Peter says, can you repeat the URL, Andy? Yes, Peter. It's PVR, that's Papa Victor Romeo, .colepress, CALLPRESS.net/listen. That's pvr.colepress.net/listen. And you should, at the moment, be able to hear all these public service announcements going out. If I put you down here, you might be able to get a view of what's going on. Yeah, you see. So, that's quite a good shot, isn't it? Yeah, you can see what's happening there. So I've got headphones here, so I can hear what's happening, because
search what to do in a flood and sign up to flood warnings.
You see, that's the studio monitor I've turned up now, so you can hear it in the studio. But as soon as I open a microphone channel here, that studio monitor will go off. So if I want to keep listening to what's going out on air, I have to put the headphones on. If I open that, you see the studio monitor goes off. If I open that microphone, move that out of the way, then put that down again.
Time.
The studio monitor comes back.
999 if you see any one of these signs. Act fast, make the call, dial 999.
Peter says, got it. It's scary. Why is it scary?
just for a bit, because I was like you. In 40 odd years, I hadn't done much exercise, but I knew I had to start. So
So that's just running through adverts and public service announcements at the minute.
It's simple, it's free, and it's all.
And then it will, if I was to allow it to, it would go into Christina Aguilera, Infatuation, followed by Girls Aloud, Big Brother, and then what would it do next?
Brilliant, I've finally quit.
I can keep up with my kids now. I feel like I've got my life back.
It's an amazing
There will
feeling
come
when
a
you stop
day,
smoking.
And you can
guilty,
experience it for yourself. Our range of free support
also
can help
all
you
sorts
quit
of
for good.
things.
From our app to emails, face-to-face support, and online communities. Search Smoke Free. Better health. Let's do this.
You are now tuned in to your #1 radio station.
You are indeed tuned into your #1 radio station. This is PVR coming to you live from the beautiful and historic Mill 3 at Plesley Vale. I hope you're having a great Monday afternoon. I keep forgetting it's Monday and then never quite know when it's a bank holiday. They slip them in, and they're slipping even more of them in this year, aren't they? Because of Charlie's coronation and things. Yes, the new king. And that, yeah, we've got even more bank holidays, but why do they always have them all in May? Why can't they like spread them out a bit more throughout the year? I've got absolutely no idea. I just think they should spread them out more than they do. So yeah, so we could have one just every now and again, and not like just every Monday in May sort of thing. It's weird, isn't it? Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's weird.
Station.
So that is PVR for you. That is how it works. That is what PVR does. And some of you are probably still listening through PVR at the minute. But yeah, that is how the thing works. So I'm going to sign off with that. If nobody's got any more questions or anything. Christopher says, with my Geiger counter, I could test if the trim phone dials are still radioactive. Yeah, you could, Christopher. Yeah, I don't think they will be somehow. I really don't think they will be. Because tritium has got such a short half-life, as Wesley says. I think it's about 11 and a bit years or something like that. Peter Blackburn says, what is the power requirement? Good question, Peter. It's enough to make you look at the electricity bill, but it's not as much as you might think. I can actually show you the power, because we have a meter that will be spinning round. And what I'll do, no, I won't turn the lights off. I'll leave the lights on, because pretty much everything is turned on here at the minute. So if I take you out here, down this corridor, now if you see a ghost or anything in this corridor, I do not want to know about it, because this mill is apparently haunted. But here we have a bank of meters, you see, and this one is ours. And I don't know can we get it in focus? Can you see the little wheel going around at the bottom there? You see, it's not going around as fast as you might think, and that's with all the lights on as well. So it's not doing too bad, really. It's reasonable. So yeah. So, but what the actual power thing is, I don't entirely know at the moment. It is going to change, though, because one of the problems we've got at the minute is we're using tower PCs to run Rivendell and that on. And of course, they've got fans and things inside them. And they're bad for two reasons. One, they use quite a bit of power. And two, they make a noise because of the fans spinning around. So what we want to do is we want to change them to little thin client type things, like this one under here, which don't have any fans in. And I'm hoping that we can do that and that will A, make the studio quieter, and B, cut down on the power consumption. But when the thing is in automatic mode, like it will be at nights and stuff, there'll be a lot of stuff that we don't have on. So at night, the mixing desk would be on still, but the monitor, would probably turn the monitor off. That would have to stay on because the stream's going out. And the compressor would have to stay on, but the CD player and that can be turned off. You see, because that's... I only put that on to make it light up for this stream, just to make it more impressive for this stream, you see. And the little compressor limiter thing, the microphone compressor, that at the bottom, we're not actually using that at the moment. And of course, there won't be any lights on at night, hopefully. And we've got quite a few lights, you see. And these are, as far as I know, these are all fluorescent lights up here. You know, they're not LEDs or anything. You can probably see with the way they're doing weird things on the camera that they're fluorescent. So power consumption is enough, but it's not as bad as it might be, shall we say. All right. Please says, what is the power costing for the radio station for backup? How do you mean for backup? The backup is what plays out when we're not streaming from here. If I turn the stream off now from here, so to those of you listening on PVR, go back to YouTube because I'm going to turn it off now. If I turn the stream off and disconnect the stream now, because I've disconnected from our remote server, and it's a company called ZFast that does the remote hosting for us, their server will now have sensed there's no incoming stream, and so it will have switched to the audio files it's got listed for us to play when there's no stream, i.e. that music that you hear every Sunday before the stream starts, which is on there at the minute. So that is kind of the backup to keep something going so you don't get completely dead air. Peter says, what are the specs of the servers? Could a Raspberry Pi 4, 8 gigabytes, do what you need? It could probably do Rivendell. Yes, it could probably just about do Rivendell. Where you run into problems with Raspberry Pis is they are working with SD cards normally. They're writing and reading to and from SD cards. And SD cards have a number of read and write operations that they can do before they fail. So they're not mega, what's the word I'm looking for here? They're not mega stable because the SD card will eventually fail. Sometimes sooner rather than later if your SD card isn't too clever. Peter says, it was meaning uninterrupted power supply backup. Well, we don't have it, Peter. Is the simple answer. Because if we go off air here, the files from our host will pick up like what's playing out on PVR now. So if we go off air here, it will pick up from our host. So an uninterrupted power supply here is not something that we've put in yet, because although it's a nice thing to have eventually, perhaps, it's not something that we've seen as crucial, because power here is pretty good. You know, I've not known it go out here. We get in this area, in this part of the world, we get very, very, very few power outages. Very few. Used to get a lot when I was a kid. We used to get loads, but these days it's very rare we get a power outage here at all. The worst thing we seem to get at the moment is a blip every now and again. You know, enough to make your microwave clock go crazy, or your video machine clock go crazy. You just get a quick blip like that, and that would upset this studio. So uninterrupted power supply would be good, but at this stage, as we've been sort of getting all the equipment together and building it all, it's not something that we've had high on the list of priorities, let's say. Peter says, you can now boot Raspberry Pis from a solid state drive. Right, can you? That's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. That's interesting. That would make it different. I mean, what we have been looking at using is these little thin client things, but a reasonably high spec thin client. And we need to have a 64-bit thin client. Basically, will do what we need to do. And there are some HP ones and that about there for not a lot of money. One of the problems with using Raspberry Pis at the moment, well, there's two problems with using Raspberry Pis. One, they rely on wall wart power supplies, and those wall wart power supplies are not very reliable, even the Raspberry Pi's own ones. And the main problem with Raspberry Pis at the minute is you just can't get them. There's a bit of a shortage of them, and when you can get them, they're getting very expensive. You know, you can buy a proper second-hand gaming PC for less than you can buy a Raspberry Pi for these days. You know, it's crazy. And you know, the idea of the Raspberry Pi, I always thought, was it was supposed to be this cheap little computer that you could afford to give one to every school child so that they could learn programming and stuff like that. And I thought that was the idea of the Raspberry Pi, this little cheap single board computer, but they ain't cheap anymore. You know, and because of supply issues, they are expensive because of that as well. So yeah, it's not brilliant, the world of Raspberry Pi, but I would be, now you said they will boot from an SSD, I would potentially be interested in getting a Raspberry Pi 4 and seeing what it can and can't do, because it would potentially, you see, I'd potentially like to replace the Rivendell PC, which at the minute is a tower under the desk here. Oh, that's the other reason with Rivendell why you can't do it, because with Rivendell, it has to have a special sound card in it. It has to have one of these, which is something else you can't get anymore. I mean, this is the second one that I bought because I found it on eBay. They don't make these anymore, but they are a brilliant sound card with lots and lots of outputs, as you can see from the picture on the box there. There's a load of inputs and a load of outputs, which is what you need for doing stuff with Rivendell, really. So this is the Delta 1010 LT sound card. Well, if you used a Raspberry Pi, how would you plug that into it? So that's one of the reasons why the Rivendell can't necessarily work with this. Now, these thin clients that we've got, like this one at the car, I'll just turn this around and show you. These, like that one under there, those, you can get an expander unit, so you can plug cards into those, and it should work. But again, I've just not got around to looking at it as yet. But it is something that we are going to start looking at. I mean, that particular thin client there was a very cheap one that I got hold of. Probably something like a 5 or a 10 or something like that. But the problem is that's only a 32-bit one. So what we're going to use that one for, we're going to couple it up to that screen and use it just purely as a web browser, so that when we're on air, you can just browse the web on that. It won't be connected to anything else. It'll just be a web browser, so it doesn't need to be a high-spec PC. Just so we can like read news headlines and stuff off of websites and things like that. So that's what we're going to use that particular one for. But a higher spec one of those is what we would need to run Rivendell. So we're getting there. We are getting there with it. Christopher says, I filmed a Melbourne tram pantograph. Arkin in Melbourne. He said, I see it all the time. Sparky. Peter says, regarding the Raspberry Pis, he says they ration them at the shop in Cambridge, but I've not had difficulty getting them in ones. Right, cool. How much are they, Peter, these days? I mean, I've not looked for a few months actually, but what is the price of them? Often with Raspberry Pis, you get a significant price reduction if you just go back one model, and I think we could probably run Rivendell on a Raspberry Pi 3. I don't think we'd particularly need a 4. But the problem is, how do you plug that audio card in? That's what I'd be interested to know. Christopher's on about his Geiger counter. He says it's very, very rare find to find a US Geiger counter in Australia. Yeah, I would imagine it is. How does US civil defence equipment get to Australia? Got no idea. Somebody must have walked through the airport customs. Can you imagine walking through airport customs with a Geiger counter? You'd get some very funny looks from the security people, wouldn't you? Yeah, very funny looks. I just want to remind folks while I'm here, just before we go, if anybody's got one of these in red, I'm looking for one. Because this was attached to the red telephone that arrived the other day in that big box that I've showed you earlier. But it had got this blue dial button. This is a nice original one. It's back painted. It's a proper one, this. But the thing is, it's blue, and I need a red one. So if you know where I might get a red one of these, please get in touch. Drop me a line or get in touch through the website andyshed.coldpress.net, because I would love to know. Right, that is about as far as we go for today. I have got to whiz off and collect some shelving, because as you see, this place is full of stuff and it needs some shelves in it. So I've got to go and see my friend Michael this afternoon and go and get some industrial shelving. So that is about it from me for today. Thank you to everybody for watching and for taking part in this slightly unusual live stream. Let me know if you've enjoyed it or not. If you have, we'll do some more like this. But the normal Andy's Shed Live will be back in 3 weeks' time. So it's not next week and not the week after, but the one after that. And Andy's Shed Live will be back 6:30 on a Sunday night. If you want to see more from the radio station, there will be more episodes of How to Start a Radio Station coming soon. We've got a bit of a backlog of episodes, so when you see the next one come out, it's not actually as built up as this, so you'll think, what's happened? Where's all the stuff gone? That you showed me in the live stream. Is I took it all apart again? I've not. It's just that there's a backlog of episodes coming, but it's getting the time to edit them, and that's the problem. So they are coming, honestly. So yeah, they will be on their way. So yeah, more How to Start a Radio Station coming very, very soon. And if anybody wants to pay us a visit here at PVR and have a look around and see how it works, then get in touch with us. We do have people coming. I know Dominic's been over, and one or two other people have been and popped their head around the door and that. They do get roped in to do stuff when they come. One more thing I just have to show you, because it's just reminded me mentioning Dominic. He was kind enough to donate us a reel-to-reel tape machine, and it's quite a nice one. And I don't know if I've shown it before. So here it is. It's a Sony reel-to-reel tape machine. It does all work now. It didn't work when I got it off Dominic. It needed some new drive belts, some new rubber drive belts inside it, but it's now had its new rubber drive belts put in. And it's been turned around in the cabinet, because depending on which way up you put the whole mechanism in the cabinet, you can have it like as a stood up tape machine or a laid down tape machine. And I wanted it as a laid down one, because that's typically how they were in radio stations. But yeah, we've got that, and we've got a filing cabinet drawer full of old tapes as well that I'm going through, finding out what's on them and stuff. But yeah, that is bit of the old equipment, the old side of PVR that we are proud to have as part of the studio here. So thanks to Dominic for donating that. Right, that is about as far as we go today. Thanks very much to everybody for watching and taking part. Remember, please hit that like button thing wherever it is. Because not all of you have so far. So if you're not hit it now. And remember to subscribe as well if you've not done that already. We will be back, as I say, in 3 weeks' time with another Andy Shed live. But before that, hopefully there will be some more How to Start a Radio Station, and possibly some more Escape the Shed as well. So there'll be more stuff coming up in the channel. But for me, for now, enjoy the rest of your Easter bank holiday. As I speak, the sun is coming out outside, so I think I'm going to go and enjoy the sunshine while it lasts. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye for now.